Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Buffalo Soldier Weekly Podcast, and today we are going to talk about COVID and business and how the two intersect one another. Did business have, I'm sure we all know that business, in fact, did suffer as a result of the COVID-19. And a lot of businesses not only had to shut down, but many of them never quite made it back. Many of them had to still pay the rent and the utilities and other costs while they were closed. So they're putting money out with no money coming in. And some did not survive. Of course, some did too. So during this program, we may talk about positive experiences. We may talk about negative experiences. We're simply talking about the experiences of COVID-19 on business. So joining us is Mr. Nick Hill, who is the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce here in Kern County, California. And Mr. Hill, welcome to the show again.
Thanks for having me.
I had the pleasure of talking with you on a couple of other programs about the same topic and many other topics. But it relates to the financial stability of our county where we live, which in my opinion is probably fairly similar to how the economies are affected in other counties as well. So even though we're not in Pennsylvania, we're not in Florida or some of these other states, we're here in California. But I think COVID has done to the business world, probably has done the same thing everywhere else as well. So with that being the case, give me a kind of a general description, if you will, of how has COVID affected Kern County businesses? And then my second question to that will be, how has it affected the Black community? I mean, is it different than how it affected the other communities? But let's start with the first question. How has COVID affected the business community in general?
Well, in Bakersfield and Kern County, it's a little bit different animal because like they've been able to remain open. Like mostly all the businesses right now we're still in the red stage, the purple stage, I think. And with that being said, no, we're in the red stage. And with that being said, we're on our way to the purple stage if it keeps going in the direction it is. And with that being said, that means that we're going to be closing these businesses down. But how would you say, hair salons, barbershops, and a select other amount of businesses will be able to remain open. But as far as like the clubs, restaurants, and things like that, they'll be required to shut back down and go back to outside activities. Right now, there's a moratorium on the businesses and things like that, and then even on the Thanksgiving celebrations, is relegated to your immediate family, and they don't suggest that you open it up to like your further out relatives or things like that. Just the immediate family. Keep everything nice and cozy and within your own household. Yeah. And we know that Thanksgiving is a big deal, all across the United States, but they're asking everyone to keep it simple this year. And as far as businesses are concerned, like I said, the businesses are open right now, and so here in Kern County, it's not running as rampant as it's running everywhere else, but our population is smaller than other populations as well. So we have to keep that in mind. But basically, Kern County is not in as bad a shape as other areas. They've got consistent COVID-19 testing going on.
But what about the things that we can do for ourselves? Because sometimes it becomes a matter of adapt and overcome. So,
well, we can wear a mask. We can shelter in place. We've got these events that's coming up. There's an event that's coming up on December 10th. There's another event that's coming on. These events are held on the inside. Number one, these organizations.
But inside is more dangerous than outside, is it not?
Yeah, and these organizations that are holding these events on the inside should have the wherewithal to say, well, wait a minute, maybe we better think about this, and like. It really hasn't ran rampant in the African-American community, but it hasn't really been that much testing in the African-American community either, but yeah, we need to shelter in place. We need to pay attention to COVID-19 because COVID-19 is real, and we need to wear our mask, just like Dr. Fauci said. We need to wear our masks, and maybe social distance, and things like that.
Are we getting any resistance in our community, in the Black community specifically, about the wearing of the mask, because we can look across the nation and see that there are basically two factions. There are the people who believe that the disease is a serious disease, and therefore they do wear the mask, they do socially distance. But then we have another group of people who feel like it's nothing more than a common cold. You'll get it, perhaps you'll get over it. We all need to go ahead and get it, they say, and then we'll get the herd immunity and go ahead. And, you know, I mean, these are things that I've heard people say.
Well,
in our community, how do we look at that?
well, if you look at the mass media, the mass media really only shows our white counterparts as far as not adhering to the mask and things like that, and great masses gathering. They did show a couple times where they had African-American parties in LA and a few other places where they had all these people there and they weren't wearing a mask and things like that. But it's more prevalent with our, how would you say, white counterparts, you know, but here in Kern County, there's no education dollars, there's no outreach dollars, you know, to spread the word out, you know, to let people know, you know, that that this is not the thing to do. You know, we are at the mercy of social media. When you say what secondary things can we do, you know, we can encourage people to shelter in place. We can encourage people to not meet in gatherings over 10 or 25 and things like that, or 25% or less than 100. You know, we can encourage people to be aware, you know, and have that self-awareness and to spread the word to other people, you know, by word of mouth.
But I still believe in the adapt and overcome principle, and which is a military thing that anybody who's been in the Marine Corps would be familiar with that term. But what it basically means is whatever situation you encounter, we adapt whatever we're doing so that we can overcome whatever that adversary is. And I'm wondering, could we go back, let's say, to the principles that we in the American African, or the Americans of African descent, in our history, you know, everything emanated from the church. So that's where we got our news. That's where we passed along hints of these are the things you need to do to safeguard yourself, whether it be from slavery or slave hunters or whatever it would be. So what if we were to go back to that and go back to the churches and have the churches begin to give out the information directly to their parishioners and to the people of the community? These are the things we need to do to save ourselves, to A, keep from getting COVID if we can, and B, if you do get it, this is where you go, what you do, and how you keep from giving it to your friends and relatives. Could we do that? Could we use that approach?
But I can't say that all of them will, you know, and we know that a lot of churches are not in session right now as far as physical, you know, so, and so we do have the Zoom. And so right now we don't know where it may come from, because you know yourself, you know, you picked up COVID, but you don't know where it came from.
That is true.
So, you know, we can be as careful as possible. You know, I went to an event last night. I had on a mask, you know, and things like that, you know, but we just don't know where it's going to come from, you know, and like I said, and even if we do get it, we may not even know we have it, you know, because we don't have the testing, you know, and we could be spreading it and not even know it.
Right. But this goes almost back to what you said earlier, though, about how families are coming up to Thanksgiving time when people get together, and what we might do differently this time around. And right after that is Christmas, 30 days later. So are there hints or suggestions as to what we should do to try to protect ourselves and our loved ones during this next few days when we're going to have Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, and like I said, the only hints and protection that we have right now is to shelter in place, is to wear a mask, you know, not meet in groups over 10 or 25 or whatever. Those are our options right now, you know, and to spread the word through our families, throughout the church, through our social media and things like that. Those are the really only avenues that we have, you know, is word of mouth, you know.
Now, when it comes back to the issue of businesses, how are Black businesses faring through this whole process? Are we worried? Have we lost a lot of Black businesses as a result of the previous shutdowns?
Well, we've lost a few businesses because, like I said, most Black businesses work and they depend on their personal savings because they don't have venture capitalists backing their businesses and things like that. So most minority businesses, work on the funds that they have, and they use their savings in order to keep their business afloat. During this COVID-19, where they don't know if they're going to be open or closed, in turn, their customers don't know if they're going to be open or closed, and some of these African-American businesses or minority businesses won't have the sustainability, to open back up because they won't have the funds to do so. Because like I said, if they're exhausting their funds on trying to keep the lights on, trying to keep the rent paid and other things like that, and then they don't have money for inventory, things like that to make up the money, that they've lost, they won't be able to open. We were able to give like 5 African-American businesses $500 stimulus checks through our chamber, and things like that, and just to help out a few businesses, but as far as widespread help, we just don't have that.
Yeah.
So
in other words, the payroll protection packages that have come out of Washington somehow missed the black community. Did it just kind of skip right over our heads?
Yes, and that's because 95% of African-American businesses are sole proprietors, independent contractors, and the payroll protection program is designed to set up for people to pay their payroll. There's a certain amount of money that has to go toward payroll, things like that. And there's another certain amount of money that goes toward rent, utilities, and everything else. But if you don't have a payroll, then you automatically don't qualify for the PPP loan or the EIDL loan. But with BCARES, if you're a single operator, you can apply for this grant. And if you have 1 to 5 employees, you get $5,000. If you have 6 to 11 employees, you get $10,000. If you have 12 to 25 employees, you get $15,000. And this is a grant. And all it requires is your 2018 and 2019 taxes. If you're running a business out of your home, it requires your home occupation permit, and it requires a city license, a current city license. That's the only requirements. And this is a $5,000 grant if you only have 1 employee. That 1 employee could be yourself. And it does ask you to send like your first and second quarter property payroll taxes in. But if you don't have those payroll taxes, you can use your 2018, 2019 tax returns. And that's it. That's all you have to do, and you qualify for that grant.
So how well known is this? I mean, is that something that is out there and the community is aware, or is that the issue of we need to get that to the community so that they know?
We need to get it out there to the community. We do like social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have constant contact, that we have a list of our members and things like that. We can send to that. And like I said, I'm actively recruiting members, and I'm recruiting members for free so they can have the knowledge. So when we send this information out, they can get this information.
Okay.
So right now we're actually doing a survey, where we're letting people know about this program. And also we're trying to find out, how it's been affecting, their business in the African-American community.
Mm-hmm. So maybe what I might suggest then is that you might let us know here at the 910th Cavalry if there's anything that you feel that we as Buffalo Soldiers can do to assist you in getting that information out. And hopefully then people will begin to come in. Could you give us a way to reach you for those who are listening and were unaware, but they want to get a hold of you to get more information, to get the forms, fill them out, and so on? How do we start that? Let's say that I'm a small business owner, sole proprietor. I've got my little setup here in my bedroom or whatever, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I need to find you in order to make that application. How do I do it?
Well, here's the first thing. Make sure you have your 2018, 2019 tax returns. Make sure you have a city license. If you operate from home, make sure you have your home operation permit. If you don't, the home operation permit is $100. Go down to the city and get it. You don't have to already have it. You can go get it, and still you can apply for it. If your city license is expired, you can go get it up to date. You can still apply for it, and you can go to bakersfieldcity.us and then click on BCARES and get the application and fill it out online. You can send your taxes in online as well. Or you can go right down to City Hall and go to the Treasury Department, and they have the application sitting right there on the front desk, and you can just pick it up, or you can call our office at 661-376-2853. and we can send you a copy of it, or you can send us an email at info@kcbcc.co, and we'll send you a copy of that application as well.
Okay.
And it contains all the instructions.
Mhm. Are there restrictions as to what you have to use this money for? Things
No.
you cannot use it for?
These are non-discretionary funds.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're non-discretionary funds.
Okay.
So that means that you can use it for your rent, you can use it for utilities, you can use it for supplies, anything that's related to your business, you can use this for. If you're late on your rent, if you got to pay back rent, all the rest of this stuff, you can use these funds for all of this stuff.
Okay. Now,
As long as it's business related, you can use it for almost anything.
okay. I'm wondering about the other side of the coin. Are there any good things that have happened as a result of COVID-19 as far as businesses are concerned? And again, specifically, businesses within the African American community. Now, that's going to be a hard one because my guess is that not a lot has happened because there's nothing good I can think of about COVID-19. But I thought, as a journalist, I thought I needed to ask you that because maybe there is something good that has happened. Maybe it has given us time to sit back and reorganize or plan. I don't know.
Well, it's given a lot of business the opportunity to, how would you say, realign their preferences as how they run their business right now. Like as far as adjusting the amount of money that they've purchased for inventory and everything else like that, to learn how to keep your costs down. And I would say this is the guerrilla way of learning how to do this, because you don't have any other choice. The other good thing is that, like I said, we were able to give 5 businesses, and I know it's not much, but $500 stimulus checks, within our chamber. And I plan on doing it again, giving out more funds. We're gathering more members into our chamber for free so we can spread this knowledge out, and get this information out so they can be in the know. We're doing our Small Business Academy right now because, like, a lot of African-American businesses did not qualify for these other grants and loans and things like that, was because they did not keep good paperwork. They did not do a monthly ledger. They did not do their taxes. If you're a small business and you're going out to fairs and things like that, and you're doing a pop-up business and things like that, well, a lot of these businesses did not do their taxes. So they got to do a Schedule C or a 1099. They have to do that, and because that's the main thing that kept them out of the running for the funds.
Okay.
So as long as they realize that, you keep a monthly ledger, because you're going to have to keep accounting of this money if you get it. And so you have to keep accounting of your money before you get it. You have to have some type of track record of the funds that you're bringing in and your expenditures, and then after that, you got to do your taxes. Yeah. And like I say, it's got to be a 1099 or a Schedule C in order for you to qualify for, some of these benefits. And if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat.
Yeah. Now, a lot of things that people do as a business started out as a hobby, but they're making a few dollars. So you make a widget and somebody at work likes your widget. They want to buy one. And so you make another widget for them. And the next thing you know, you're making widgets every weekend and selling them to your friends and coworkers. And the money that you get, it doesn't go into a separate bank account. There is no business name or anything like that. But you take the money and you put it in your regular bank account, and that's what you use to pay your utilities and your rent and your car payment and your, all this stuff. Can a person in that situation retroactively go back and sort of put these records together to say, well, this is what I made and spent, and this is what I earned, and I'm going to give this thing a name and start myself a business? Can you do that and it becomes somewhat retroactive? Maybe you've been doing it for a year or two.
For the purpose of what?
Well, for the purpose of qualifying for the money that you've mentioned for the grant, to go down and get the business license, to go down because I've been doing this and I've been earning money. But okay.
No.
Because I think that may unfortunately be the situation with a lot of people, that they're doing something that was a hobby and it grew into what they would like to now start as a business, and they've been earning money, but It's too late now because time has gone by. They did not file the proper papers at the proper time. So you're saying that they're just kind of out of luck for that one.
Well, yes, because you have to have your 2018 and 2019 taxes filed already
Right.
in order to qualify.
Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to a government stimulus check, have you heard anything about that? Because some businesses have received money from government, federal government, to assist them in their business or in their personal life. Have you heard anything as to whether or not that will happen? Because we had one stimulus check that occurred a few months back. People are hearing rumors of another stimulus check that may come. Are you hearing anything?
Yeah, there will be another stimulus check.
Mhm. Now, there's also talk about a vaccine for the COVID-19. And as I've been watching the stock market, I saw that when that word first came out, that there was a vaccine that could potentially be 90% effective and in somebody's hands, probably starting out with the health workers and the emergency people, then filtering down to those who are in the most serious need and so on until it finally gets into everyone's hands. But I saw the stock market sort of shoot up that one day just on the fact that it was mentioned that there's a vaccine out there that's 90% effective. Now it dropped back down again. Have you seen any movement in the stock market that would affect the Black community as a result of the possibility of a vaccine? What does a vaccine mean to us, is the word?
Well, in the African American community, you know, we're really squeamish about these vaccines and things like that because, you know, a lot of people think that when they do this vaccine, there's going to be a lot of other side effects, you know, that's going to affect you. But we have to take that wait and see attitude, you know, things like that. Just like Governor Cuomo said, you know, they're going to do their own quick testing and their own analysis about this vaccine.
So then, and I don't know, and I understand that you're not necessarily an historian, but when you were talking, I was thinking back about, you know, I don't know when it was, back in the 20s or in the teens of the 1910, 1920, somewhere along in there. And there was an experiment carried out in a hospital, I believe, somewhere in Alabama, where they actually gave syphilis to a lot of African American people as an experiment to see, well, does this treatment work or does this treatment work? And of course, a lot were horribly disfigured, a lot were killed as a result of it. Is that something that people are still thinking about when we come up with this new disease and a new vaccine for it? Are people concerned that we may be the guinea pigs for what's going on?
Well, they already tried to use the citizens in Africa, you know, as guinea pigs. And of course, they refused, you know. But, you know, that would be like some of our more seasoned Americans that would be aware of this thing. But as far as our younger generation, they may not be aware of what was going on back then, you know. So, and again, in the African-American community, education is key. Education is key. And if we're aware of it, you know, we need to make our younger people aware of it. But, you know, of course, our older community would be very cautious because it's very well instilled in their mind, you know, but we know what happened before, you know. So, of course, they would be a little squeamish about it.
And of course, the African-American community that is most affected by the COVID-19 is the older generation. That is at least what the health department is saying, is that if you're older, if you have pre-existing conditions, and by the time you get to a certain age, you will have pre-existing conditions. And so therefore we are the most vulnerable, and therefore also the most skeptical, I would gather.
And rightfully so. Yes,
so
sir,
then,
rightfully so.
Where does the business community go next? What is our next move? We're looking at possibly another shutdown. We're looking possibly at a vaccine that a lot of folks will be hesitant to take. So what is our actual direction? What do we do?
We have no other choice but to shelter in place. Right now, I'm getting a news alert that Kern County is going into the purple status. And it said that, let's see.
And I did expect that because the numbers here of the daily caseloads have been going up 200 or more each day for several days. So I was expecting that any day now they would tell us that we're going back into the purple out of the red. That means businesses will close.
It said this, the COVID-19 cases have actually spiked ahead of the holiday, you know, and that's here in Kern County.
So as we look to the future, I'm afraid that we're going to see a lot of businesses going under right now about those of color. But I guess is there a safety net of any kind that they can call back on other than just simply looking forward to the door shutting and debt that they've incurred that they still have to pay, but no business now, no income, no employees?
Well, unfortunately, you know, with the stimulus that was given out and with the extension of the unemployment, you know, when they were giving out the additional $600 a week, you know, for unemployment and things like that. And some people are saving their money. Some people are putting this money into their business, and then business has to close because right now, like I said, we're getting ready to go back into purple. And so by us going back into purple, that means all these businesses are going to close down again.
But I very much appreciate you for keeping up with these things and letting us know where things stand, giving us ideas as to where we can go and what we can do. And we at the 9/10 will continue with our podcast, trying to get information out to the public the best way we can, so that people have some clue as to where to go and what to do. Thank you so very much for all of your effort, your time, and your knowledge. We thank all of the people who are watching and hope that you'll join us and stay with us each and every broadcast. And we'll see you then.
Okay, thank you. So.